What's going on, good people? It is your boy Mike B coming to you with another episode of Keep It Moving Podcast. Of course, you guys know I tell you all the time they would not allow me to do this show alone, so I'm not. Joining me tonight is my co-host, the lovely Novelty.
Hello.
Once again, no JT. He has a legitimate reason this time.
Say strike 15.
Other than the fact that he just don't want to talk to us, don't want to communicate with you guys and share his non-wisdom. So, we ain't going to hate on the man because, like I said, he got a legitimate excuse this time. So just keep JT in your prayers. It ain't nothing wrong with him, but he just crazy as hell. So that's
he always needs prayers.
That's what we're going to go with. Anyway, it shouldn't be a long show today. Going to talk about some of the things that's been going on in the news. One thing that we didn't cover because I guess we haven't recorded a show since then, and that's the third presidential debate that I had the luxury of not watching. I watched the first two. I actually enjoyed the first two, and most people watch these debates, especially the ones dealing with Hillary and Donald Trump, to see how it's going to go. Like, what is Donald Trump going to do? How long is he going to stay on message before Hillary is able to bait him and to
bait him.
Yeah,
it takes nothing to bait him.
It takes but she's good at it.
He just goes,
and it works every time. I like the little back and forth they did where she was saying how Putin didn't want. I guess Putin wanted a puppet. He's like, "You're the puppet. You're the puppet." I'm like, are we grown right now?
He's the biggest kid ever.
It seems so crazy.
He's like a 2-year-old child who somebody just stole his toy.
I don't know if he'd allow somebody to steal his toy. I feel like nothing's ever been actually done to him.
Okay. This is what I found out last night. People, for those of you who don't know, that hair of his is not a toupee.
Well, he says it all the time on the campaign trail.
That's his hair.
That's his hair, yeah.
He got like a comb up. You know how old men with that one little strand of hair and they take it and they cover their bald spot with it?
Like they comb it over most of the time?
They comb it over. They comb it around in the circles. Whatever they got to do to cover the
spread
bald
it out.
spot.
Yeah.
He takes hair from the back of his head and pushes it up to cover up his bald spot.
Oh, so
and that's why his hair looked like that. I thought it was a toupee.
I think a lot of people thought it was a toupee.
I was seriously wondering why, with all the money he got, he couldn't go buy a better toupee.
Well, he don't have to care. I mean, because he's been looking like that ever since I've known him. He's been old since I've been old. So, I mean, this is just who I've come to expect. But, now, did you have anything to say about the debates? You watched them. I didn't watch them.
I tried. I did watch them. There were some moments. I mean, for Donald Trump, I got to give him his props. It took longer.
He stayed on message longer
for
this
him
time?
To act like a 2-year-old than normal. I think he made it about 30 minutes this time instead of the 10 and 15 for the last two. But I mean, there was one point where like she made a comment of, or he made his comment that the system's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. Mm-hmm. And she says to him, well, Donald, you say that a lot. You say everything is rigged when you start to lose. And she went down this long list of things that he said when he lost it, he said was rigged. And one of them, she said, when you lost the Emmy, you said it was rigged. And he said, I should have won. And I'm thinking, how dumb are you?
But if you believe in what you're putting out there, you felt like your show was the bomb and you should have won.
In that moment, it's not the time.
But that's Donald Trump. That's who he is. And you know what's scary? What's honestly scary is the reason Donald Trump isn't as far ahead as he could be is because of Donald Trump.
Right.
Like it would. Unfortunately, and I even hate to admit this, if he would stick to the issues and stay, even though he don't know shit, maybe he should prepare, first of all. If he prepared and actually pretended to care about a lot of these things,
right,
he would be so far ahead of Hillary that it's, like I said, I hate to even say it. But we can always rely on him
to sabotage his own self.
He kicks himself in the foot all the time, and that's
the reason he should not be president. A president cannot sabotage himself, because if he's trying to protect us, he's gonna sabotage us.
Right.
You know, it's his mouth that gets him in trouble every time, and it's his mouth that's going to get this country in trouble. It's not much he's going to be able to do with Congress, regardless of whether it's Republican or whether it's Democrat. It's not much he would ever be able to really do, because Congress would just say no. They said no they've been saying no for the last 8 years. They had already said if Hillary gets in, they'll be saying no to her too. So yeah, I'm sure they say no to his stupid stuff as well. So I'm not even concerned about that. My concern is him opening his mouth, because him opening his mouth can start a war immediately. And I'm, you know, quite honestly, he may have already set things in motion to start them.
No matter who wins.
Well, I'm thinking if he wins, he may have set things in motion already to start several. You know, because I can't see Mexico being happy with us if he gets in the seat.
Right.
The only person that's going to be happy with us is Putin.
Right. his pal.
And my fear there is we liable to be Russian by the time he's out of the presidency.
No, I can't see that happening. But you
Donald
know,
Trump in his mouth.
You mentioned he keeps talking about the system being rigged, the elections being rigged, the media's rigged, you rigged, I'm rigged, and then we've started early voting. And then not all, but a couple stories have come out where people have been caught, you know, trying to vote multiple times. And the first story that came out of Iowa, and it was a Trump supporter who I think they said she went and voted at one of the, she early voted at the election office. And then she went to one of the remote locations, because they usually have several locations where you can early vote, sometimes in schools and other place, library or whatever. And so she voted first at the election office, and then maybe a couple of days later she went and voted again at one of the remote locations. And I don't even know how she got caught, like how they were able to
probably
catch that
system. When she went and she told them who she was, it flagged that she had voted twice, or she had already voted. I'm sure there's systematic checks in place.
Well, it sounds like there are, which is a positive thing.
Right.
And you would think that at this point he could stop saying the system is rigged.
He should stop saying,
considering it's catching
his people that are being caught.
And there were other cases, and they didn't really say who they were supporting, whether they were for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. But there were a couple other suspects in Iowa that got caught trying to vote twice. I think they were these people voted in by mail first, and then tried to vote in person. Also where was this? In Florida, we had a 74-year-old Gladys Coego. She had been, now this don't make sense. She was the one who was, I guess, counting and opening up the absentee ballots. And so when she would see somebody's absentee ballot that hadn't voted for something, she decided to go help them out. Oh, you missed this one. And so she would vote for them. It says she was an absentee ballot opener when a supervisor allegedly saw her changing ballots. And I don't know why they say allegedly when she confessed to it. They saw her changing ballots that had been left blank to support a mayor candidate. Damn. Prosecutors said that Coego admitted to marking the ballots and was charged with 2 felony counts of marking and designated the ballot of another.
They probably say allegedly because it hasn't been proven yet.
She hasn't, I guess, went to court. But when you say you did it, I don't think we have to allege anything.
Yeah, you still have to go to court though, and it has to be.
Now there was a couple more cases in Florida, also in Virginia, and these people are being caught. They're being charged. So the system appears to be working, in my opinion.
Well, I heard of a case in, I think it was either Iowa or Ohio, one or the other, where somebody went in and they voted for Hillary, but it changed the computer changed their vote to a vote for Trump.
Oh, as far as the actual electronic,
right? The electronic they were doing the thing, they hit Hillary and it switched it to Trump.
Now, somebody else said that, I believe my cousin on YouTube mentioned that when she went to vote in Nevada, the same thing kind of happened to her. So you still need to be aware,
right? Because
this could happen.
Pay attention, and if it happens, you need to let somebody know immediately.
Right, you have to report it. Don't just say, well, whatever, and walk away. No, make sure
you report it so your vote,
your ballot is being
cast
for the person you want to vote for.
Right.
And the other kind of big thing that's been, and we're going to get to some lighthearted stuff out, outside of this political talk, but we've been hearing about these emails with Hillary for the almost over a year. We've been talking about this. it resurfaced on, I believe it was yesterday, where the FBI director came out, and I guess they were doing some type of investigation for Anthony Weiner. And I guess because of his ties to Hillary Clinton, they're thinking that some of these emails might, have something to do with that Clinton case. And before they actually go in and do their investigation and see if this is relevant to anything, he decides to send out a memo, to Congress, like, hey, we got some, something that's a little shaky here. It may be shaky. It may be nothing, but we need to let you guys know, because I want to be transparent. I told you guys I'm going to be transparent. So I'm going to let you know that we might be reopening. And I don't know if the case was actually closed, but we're going to be reopening this investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails, without really giving any information as to what's going on, what you saw, like what prompted this, besides the whole Anthony Weiner situation. And I don't even think we knew that initially. And so everybody's like, what in the world? Like, oh, she must have done something. They're reopening the case. This is like the initial panic. And then because the memo or the whatever was sent to Congress was so vague and didn't have any real information of substance, then people just assumed that, okay, Hillary, she did something, she is corrupt, so I'm not going to vote for her. And it really rocked her campaign yesterday.
Some people even went in and actually cast their vote that day, saying, okay, I can't vote for her because of what just happened. But here's the problem that I have with it. So after that story broke yesterday, then this morning, the offset of that story broke. The fact that, number one, it's against FBI policy to speak on a case this early in the case and this close to an election.
Close to, right.
And so not only was he not supposed to do that, his superior said he wasn't supposed to do it. His the Attorney General's office and the Deputy Attorney General's office both said, no, don't do it. He did it anyway.
Right.
And also, you remember that this guy from the FBI is a Republican, and the Republican Party was down on him because he did not press charges in the first place when he didn't find evidence to press charges. They still wanted him to press charges.
Well, they're saying that he used to be a Republican, but now he's not tied to any political party.
This man's a Republican.
It definitely it sounds that way, because nothing about it makes sense, especially if you haven't really done the investigation.
The
yet,
investigation has
of
been
these
done,
new emails.
And then okay, so there's emails that went to Anthony Weiner from Hillary.
No, I don't even think they were. Well, there may have been some, but what they're investigating is some situation between, I guess, claims that Anthony Weiner was having an inappropriate relationship with a 15-year-old or something like that. So
what does that have to do with her?
We don't know if it has. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't. He didn't say that it specifically had anything to do with Hillary, but I think it's more so because
how can you
he
tie
was
her?
Tied. He used to work under her.
Okay, so maybe okay.
Because she was secretary. Yeah.
Well, I'm with her. She immediately came out and said, hey, if you're going to make this statement, then you need to say what your investigation is about.
Right.
You cannot just sit here and make a vague statement and not tell the people what this investigation is about, what this has to do with. I mean, that's like saying, oh, she got the test results. And right before a test, you tell somebody I got the test results. Well, it could be the test results from my last test. But you just dropped a piece of information that, although it's true in fact, is not completely true in the context, because you're not given the context in which in which it's actually being brought in.
Right.
It's kind of like marketing. This is what marketing does. This is exactly how marketing works. They want you to buy a taco. They tell you it's got meat in it. They just don't tell you it's got cat meat. It's got goat meat. But it's got meat. It is. Do you think, you automatically think what you think is meat to be in there, when in actuality it's not. Here's her, she's tied to this investigation. So you automatically thinking, because of all these FBI email leaks and this is what it has to do with. When in actuality, after he goes through it and he comes out with his investigation, to be like, oh no, it didn't have anything to do with it.
And then it's too late.
Right.
Because
it's too late because the election is now over and it's no longer 11 days before it.
And just listening to his explanation, and then he sent out another memo, I guess an internal memo, talking to his people about the whole situation and why he felt he had to do it. It just seems like it's politically motivated. Maybe he was threatened by Hillary at one point or something, but it doesn't seem like it's the right I don't know. Especially when you're supposed to be non-biased and you're supposed to be for everybody as the FBI director, then hey, that speaks volume to your character.
It would make sense to me if he had actual information that affected the election,
or affected her, where they have to bring some charges or something to her.
If he, if he had real evidence that's when of you something come out with serious, then yeah, you say something. I would expect you, if you're saying it's not honest for me to not say something to the American people, if somebody came in and said, oh yeah, here's an email from Hillary in the Anthony Weiner case, and you just automatically say, ooh, I got to tell the American people it has something to do with her little email scams, and oh, she's all tied in. You didn't even look at that email. It might have been an email to her from her saying this is something you should not be doing, and we're going to bring you up on charges. It could be anything. It could have been an email to her saying, hey, I'm canceling our meeting for next week. It could have been this
and then
email can be
people are saying
anything.
It can also be duplicates of emails they've already sifted through, and they've cleared her of.
Right. So just as well as it could be, because everybody keeps saying, oh, she could have been hacked. Anything could have happened. Nothing happened that anybody knows of. And nobody can prove that anything has happened. So stop. Move the hell on. Let's get this dang on election over with, because I'm tired of it, quite frankly.
I think most of it, and that's, that's really, really sad to say, that most people are just kind of over it. I was so glad to hear that there are still people out there standing in 3-hour, 4-hour lines to make sure that their voice is heard despite all the bull crap that we're hearing. That made me, feel good, because the hopefully the process is still working. But anyway, enough politics. Let's talk.
Well, hold on. Before you say enough politics.
Come on, politicker.
It's a few things. Well, first of all, did you hear about Clarence Thomas?
I heard something about another allegation coming through, and Anita Hill wants him to be investigated.
Okay, but see, that's it. That's what you heard.
Yeah.
But you didn't hear about what he did before. Now, this allegation came up, and don't get me wrong, this Clarence Thomas investigated. It is liable to be true.
Mm-hmm.
However, this man finally stood up. This Republican pseudo Uncle Tom man finally stood up and said something with substance. He said, this needs to stop. The Republicans need to stop what they're doing and confirm a ninth Supreme Court justice.
Oh, so
they are right now. The Republican Party is causing an issue with the Supreme Court. They are short of justice, and they cannot make determinations on cases. Every time they have a tie,
there's nobody there.
Nobody wins.
Doesn't it go to the House? Or?
No, it sends it back to the court underneath. So if they've appealed, like the state Supreme Court, if they're appealing the decision of the state Supreme Court and it goes to the federal Supreme Court, if these 8 justices cannot figure out something and come to a determination, or they don't vote 5-3, if it is a tie, it reverses and goes right back to the state, and whatever the state says stands. And it cannot go anywhere until there's a 9th judge, because there's nobody to break the tie.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there are 9 judges. So Clarence Thomas spoke on it. He finally said, no, this is getting ridiculous. Confirm somebody so we can take care of business. And then the next day,
after he said that,
the allegations come up. So it's kind of like, really? The timing on it is not good. But I'm not saying don't investigate it. Right. Clarence Thomas we're talking about. It probably happened. I mean, this is still Clarence Thomas. He just said something smart in one moment of his life. And then the other thing, it is so important that we vote. And not even Hillary and Trump. Let's take them out of the mix right now. It is so important that we vote for our Congress, the Supreme Court,
especially with what we're dealing with now.
Right. The Republican Party has been holding up business for 8 years. They said it the first time that Obama got in office. We're not going to do nothing. They said, well, at first they said he will not be a 2-term president. He was a 2-term president. The day he won, they said they will not do anything until he gets out of office. And for the last 4 years,
they've been fighting him.
They have not done anything. It's not that they won't. It's not that they don't like his judges. It's not that they won't they even they've heard anything about his judges. They won't even hold the votes. They won't even hold the vote. All he's saying is vote. If you don't like them, then vote them down and let's move on so I can put somebody else in there. Just vote. They refuse to vote. As far as I'm concerned, that should be against the law.
Right.
There's no business going on. And now McCain and I believe Ted Cruz as well have both stood up and said if Hillary wins the nomination, they will not. They're going to do the exact same thing. They will not confirm her Supreme Court justices, which means we go for another 4 to 8 years with a Supreme Court of only 8 judges. And not only that, 2 of them are pretty close to.
Well, unless, some of those senators in the, in the Senate or the representatives come up in 2 years and we're able to get them out.
To change this is to change our Senate and our House. And a lot of them are coming up this year. So you got to vote. You got to vote. You want business to move. You want to sit there and say no politics as usual. Start with your local government. Make change. Change the people in your local government. Change the people in your state government. You got to make those changes because no matter who you put in the presidency, they can't do nothing without those people. And right now we got a Republican Party that's saying we're not going to work with anybody. I'm sorry. Everybody in the Republican Party just needs to get rid of everybody they got and start fresh.
And it's like, how can you have people supporting the Republican Party saying, okay, they're for me, they speak for me, when they're not helping anybody.
They're not speaking for you. They basically saying
they're holding up
regardless
everything.
Of what's going on in your life, we going to do what we want to do. And to all these racist people, all of these people who are not necessarily racist, but believe that, hey, I might be poor and white, but at least I'm not black or at least I'm not Latino.
Right.
Understand that to wealthy white people,
you might as well
you are. That's what they put in your head to make you think you were better, but you are, because the things that are affecting black people, the things that affect Latino people, they affect you too. But you just think you a little bit better, so you don't take it personally. But you should take all that stuff personally, because just like black men are dying from cops, so are Latino people, so are white people. This is happening. Pay attention to what's going on and stop looking at other people and other races as something to look down on.
I agree. Now, there have been several protests I've been hearing about, and one we haven't really touched on, which I saw you posted quite a few videos on Keep Moving, the Facebook page, about the North Dakota, the pipeline.
North Dakota pipeline,
yes. But before we talk about that, because I want to get your opinion on that, there has been here the past couple of weeks I've been hearing more and more about this prison protest where prisoners are like refusing to work. They're like starving themselves. And because of, I guess, unfair, I can tell you why they say that they are protesting. And so far, it's showing that there's about 20,000 inmates involved in the protest in 24 prisons in 23 states. So it's a lot of people participating. And, of course, they're talking about us, they say it's modern day slavery. They're talking about all the stuff that they have to do for like $1 or $2 a day. Mm-hmm. Working their asses off. And, some people will be out there saying, well, you've done a crime. So how do you expect to be treated like a regular civilized human being when you didn't act that way when you were outside of these prison walls? But it's not just that. They also, I didn't know if you wanted to say something about that.
No, go ahead.
They are protesting, along with the dismal wages, abusive guards, overcrowding, and poor health care. Those are amongst their grievances. And so they're, like I said, hunger strikes, work stoppages, and it's for some reason it sounds weird to hear that people in prison are protesting.
Just because you commit a crime in this country, this country does not punish like other countries. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but the law in this country, this is still a human being, has a right to a trial. He goes to jail. Jail is not meant for me to become slave labor.
Right.
I don't know whether.
And then to know that a lot of people that we hear all these stories of these people being unjustly put in jail, and then being exonerated sometime, maybe 30 years or whatever, and they've had to endure
all of this stuff.
Yes.
So that's the other thing. You people go to jail, especially in this country, because of the law and all the ways that you can play with the law if you know how to. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are in jail that don't belong there, or a lot of people are in jail like Obama's let out over 600 people. Yeah, almost 1,000 people in the last 6 months. And because they were put in jail for nonviolent crimes.
Right.
So it kind of just depends. I guess, to me, making the guy who killed 20 people pick cotton don't bother me too much. Because you just you acting like a savage, I'm going to treat you like one.
But the person who may have had like marijuana on them, and because they smoked marijuana, right. They were treated like they were distributing it, right. And now they're in jail for 20 years, 25 years. When we got rapists who walked freely to terrorize again.
I can see the protest. I understand the protest, and what goes on in the jail system in this country, because it's privatized. There are certain things that just don't need to be privatized. There are certain things that nobody needs to make money from. This should not be a way to make money. Putting people in jail, that's not a way to make money. Nobody should be able to profit from that. Mm-hmm. Making sure you have gas, lights, water, sewage system, there should be no way to profit from that. This should be things that are controlled by government and should be done by government, mm-hmm. because this shouldn't be a profit center. Right. Making sure people have basic human rights and needs. Mm-hmm. Healthcare, I don't believe it should ever be privatized and for profit. Because then what happens is you got a drug that was $20 skyrockets to $750, and now people are going to die if they don't get it. When people can make money off of something, they stop thinking about people. That's why I don't like salespeople. Most salespeople work on commission. They don't care about the person they're selling to.
Right, all knowing that they can't afford to buy this thing.
All they care
can't
about
make
is
the payment.
Selling the
they
product.
Just want to make that sale.
So they can get their commission, because that's how they live. When you connect someone's livelihood to a profit basis, it's a problem for me. So I think that's the first thing. We have got to not privatize medical care, not privatize prisons, not privatize just needs, basic needs, utilities, things like that. Now, if you you can give a phone, but don't give a cell phone, something like that.
Right.
We got to find a way to get those back to government, so government can control what people need and have to have, and then let people who get profits control what people want.
The luxury
items. So I can understand where they're coming from, and it's not right to treat a lot of those, most of the inmates in there. It's not right to do that. And then even the one,
and the overcrowding though.
And that's the other thing, the overcrowding. And still, my tax dollars are going to them, even though it's privatized. Some of my tax dollars is going to sustain that. Mm-hmm. I don't. If you don't need to be there, I don't want you there. Get out in the world, get a job, do something worthwhile.
You remember when there was this thought process that we figured when people go to jail, they are rehabilitated.
But they're not.
I know.
Like
I'm
savages.
saying, but we thought, or at least I used to think that when people go to jail, then basically it's almost like, this is my idea. They sit them down. You're here for 5 years. We're gonna sit you down every day and talk to you about what you did wrong and teach you a new way to do right. But that's not what happens. Even though you used to hear about people back in the day getting degrees in jail, and getting converted to Christianity and different religions, and just learning to do and be better people. Instead of, learning to be a better criminal because you're pissed off at the system and how you're treated, how can you come out having a respect for other people when no one had respect for you when you were in this situation?
Well, and not only that, here it's several different things I got a problem with. One, if you're committed of a felony, you can't vote. Mm-hmm. Why not? Why can I not cast my vote on how my country is run because I crossed the state line when I stole something, or because I broke into a federal jail? I mean, yeah, I'm an idiot, but why?
I'm like, those
I
are
still
wrong.
Should have my vote.
Those are wrong.
Yeah, they are wrong, but that shouldn't cancel out my vote. Those are two totally different things.
They are, but it may be a thinking of you didn't think properly when you committed this crime.
It doesn't matter.
So you don't have the mindset to think properly when casting your vote.
But I'm an adult, and you don't have the right to tell me that, regardless of anything. I'm an adult. My grandmother is 80-something years old, and she got cords laying in the middle of the floor, and she can barely walk, and she keeps saying, "Oh, I'm not going to trip and fall. I'm not going to trip and fall." Yes, the hell you are. And if you fall, somebody got to take you to the hospital.
Right.
I can't tell her. I can't make her move that cord by law because she's an adult. You don't have the right to tell somebody they can't vote because they committed a crime. He's still an adult. They should have that right. Now, cuckoo people, and I mean people who go to jail for insane reasons and or committed those kind of people, I can see you saying, "Nah, baby, you can't vote."
But I feel like if it came down to that, where okay, everybody can vote unless you had a mental issue, then they would start classifying a lot more people with mental issues in order to still find a way to suppress the vote.
They probably would, knowing this system, because like Donald Trump said, it's rigged. But the other thing is, when people get out of prison, then that's on their record. They have to divulge that to their employer. People are not hiring, so they get cut out of a bunch of jobs. They don't get as many opportunities for black men who had few opportunities to begin with.
To start, right.
It's even fewer. It is nothing for them to do but go right back into the exact same system. We don't have. And
I feel like that's what the system was designed for.
Right. We haven't designed a system that goes in, rehabilitates, and then gets people out, sets them up with jobs, places to go, and things to do so they can keep on that path. We have a system that says, this is where you're going to stay. All of a sudden, one day after 15, 20, 30 years, we're going to let you out. The entire world has changed as you know it. Half the people you know are dead or either moved or gone.
Right.
We're going to send you back home to live with your mama, who's old and don't really want to don't want to have to take care of you.
Right.
But now she's getting ready to have to take care of you. You're not going to be able to get a job. You're going to feel less than nothing. Everybody's going to know you were a criminal. I mean, it's like stuff just piles on and piles on and piles on, and they can't get out of it. So what are you supposed to do when you can't get out of it?
Exactly.
So you end up
you go back because this is what you've been accustomed to. You know the people here. You know the routine. Why not go and try to rob this bank and go back home? And that's what they're counting on. And it's sad. And I used to think that halfway houses were supposed to help transition you from jail or prison system into the workforce and to just being independent and on your own again. But even I feel like, those the people that run those houses sometimes are corrupt or whatever, because they don't really care about you. Nobody, the thing is, we don't care about people too much anymore.
I think there are times when people care, but sometimes the system kills for the people that do care, the system even kills that out of them. The system beats that out of you. And it's not the system per se. It's the people who take advantage of the system. Like everybody has to have a lawyer. Everybody has a lawyer in court. Everybody has the right to an attorney. Period. It is your right, your constitutional right. But what happens when you can't afford one? Well, we're going to give you this prosecutor here. They work for the state. They got way too many cases. They overworked, most of them right out of college. They barely know the law themselves. Some of them haven't even gone in court before. Yeah. And nothing, and they're scared, and you come with a murder one case,
putting your life in their hands and expecting them to work a miracle.
But this rich guy who's done everything he's being charged with has the money to go out and get the best lawyer in the world
that can manipulate the system,
who knows
the situation.
It's not even a manipulation of the system. He knows the system. It's the same thing with voting. We all sit here and we say it's a conspiracy, it's a conspiracy, it's a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. The only conspiracy is the simple fact that you don't know the system, and they count on you to not know it. They count on you to continue to be uneducated about it. They base everything on that, because if voting was one guy told me, oh, all the presidents have been chosen for 1,000 years. They all knew who was going to be president. It's already set in stone. They know who's going to win. I'm like, that's
who is they?
Bull.
God?
I don't know. But all I know is that's bull, because nobody know. You cannot depend on people for thousands of years. You might be able to say, okay, this is the way these people are going to vote for the next 10, 15, 20. You might even be able to say the next 100 years, this is how these people are going to vote, because you're still dealing with the same basis of
group.
people.
Yeah.
But when you start dealing with thousands of years, I have no idea what my great nephew gonna do. He'd love to be a heathen.
I'm sure he will be.
Anyway,
you got a heathen in your blood.
Anyway, but so when you say that, that's stupid to me. And then why else would people with money are stingy? They want to keep their money.
Right.
Okay, so why would people with money spend millions and billions of dollars on campaigning if they already knew who's going to win?
It doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. The same thing here.
But then, too, they also are spending other people's money.
But still, if I collected that kind of money, I'm not going to spend it on stuff I don't need. Come on, think, people. I just want people to really think. Don't spend it on stuff you don't waste it. They're not going to waste it.
Right.
You know, so it's the same thing with an attorney. They depend on you to not know. The situation with the voting. Well, what are you supposed to do? There's been all of these little things that pop up on Facebook. One of them was cops busted into some guy's house, said they smelled weed and they wanted to come in. The guy said, no, not without a warrant. The cops came in anyway, no warrant, no nothing. Searched the house, found absolutely nothing and left. What do? You sue. Well, right. I don't have no money. I don't care if you ain't got no money. You slanging dope, you better go find some money. Somebody need to get some money. If you not a thief, thank God, but go borrow, get a loan on something, go get some money and sue.
Right, and then a lot of people don't a lot of these lawyers, some, when they hear something like that, when they know that you got a case, then they'll take the case and then get their money after the settlement, because they know there's some money's coming. Yeah. They ain't gonna take your case if they know ain't no money coming.
But they depend on you to be ignorant and not do anything. Well, what am I supposed to do? So get up off your butt and do what white people have done for generation after generation after generation. Take advantage of the options that the system has in it for you.
Yeah, which is what everybody was talking about as far as Donald Trump not paying taxes for all these years. He said, I was taking the legal options that were there for me
to take.
And they do it all the time. So you can't really hate on them for that. No, you can't hate on them for that. Now, switching over to this North Dakota pipeline, it's like you hear about it every now and then, like when the protests flare up, and then at one point it was going real strong as far as the protests are concerned, and then I think there was like the White House was like push pause on the project or whatever, and there was like a victory. But then I've been hearing more recently, and nobody's really talking about it. It's not like forefront news.
Well, no, it's not forefront news. I think, one, because of everything else that's going on, and two, because they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
What we doing to indigenous people? Are you kidding me? Come on now. It's really important, and I thought I discussed it on the show once, but maybe I discussed it with my family. Mm-hmm. It's very possible, but especially for people in the state of Missouri or people who get their water source from the Missouri River. It is so important that you know about this, because what's going on is the North Dakota pipeline is supposed to go under an area in North Dakota,
yeah,
of course, it's traveled through North Dakota already, but it's supposed to go in an area in South Dakota. And in that area, I was looking for my notes on this because I know I have them, but I don't know where they are. So I'm just going off the top of my head. There are in that area, there's a dam somewhere in South Dakota. This dam is broken into 4 parts. And one of those parts is the lake, the Ojai Lake.
Don't give me the line.
Okay, it's OAHE, I believe.
Okay,
it's going under that lake. That lake is part of this dam, and what this dam is this dam all it is the Missouri River. It's a dam that separates the Missouri River, and they named each of these lakes 4 lakes. But the water still flows all the way throughout the Missouri River. So if you get your water source from the Missouri River, and anything happens and that pipe bursts up under that water, that whatever it is in there, that oil, whatever it is that those pipelines are carrying is going to be in that water. And that will and they claim, oh well, we can stop the contamination and stop it 3 minutes
remember
down
that
the road.
BP oil spill,
right?
That lasted for so long.
That is BS. So here comes down the Missouri River all this contaminated water. Now, this contaminated water right now, they're just talking about a small portion of the country in South Dakota, North Dakota, Illinois, in like 5 states. But the Missouri River flows all the way through to the Mississippi. So it starts up in North Dakota and comes all the way down, goes through the 4 states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Illinois was one of them. It's one more state. Then it goes through Missouri. And it goes, I believe the Missouri River runs into the Mississippi somewhere, I want to say around Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
Now, that's off the back of my head. It's been a while, so you might want to check your map. But wherever the Missouri River flows into the Mississippi, and then from the Mississippi on out to, I think, the Gulf of Mexico is where the Mississippi empties. So anybody who gets their water source from the Mississippi from that point on can be affected as well. So that's getting ready to affect
all those
almost
states.
Half this country, because the Missouri River is the second largest river in this country, and they doing this way up at the top. That's getting ready to affect a whole lot of people, and people are not realizing it. So first and foremost, the I don't know what to call them because it's their tribe. What do you see the name of their tribe?
The Standing Rock Sioux tribe.
Okay, the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. They're fighting for is first and foremost
their sacred land.
Sacred land.
Yeah,
it is land that we are not supposed to touch by law. It is.
So we've signed some treaties or something because of this land.
We're not supposed to touch any sacred land.
Right.
That's law. So and then on top of that, they're worried about it affecting their water source.
Right.
And it's going to not only affect their water source, but everybody below them, it's going to affect their water source too. So it's getting ready to affect you. It's going to affect me. Now, Kansas gets their water from the Kansas River. So Kansas wouldn't be affected by it, but Missouri would be. Mm-hmm. So literally right across the bridge, if you were to go to downtown Kansas City, you would be in trouble if you took a drink out of a water fountain.
Yeah, they're not explaining it that way.
No, they're not. And I didn't realize that until I just happened to be flipping through. I saw this and I was like, okay, why are they trying to take their land? They can't do that. And then they started talking about this lake, and one article just simply said it will affect the Missouri River. And I was that's what made me say, whoa.
that's my water.
But it didn't go into detail. So I had to do the research, and that's when I found out about these 4 lakes and how this pipeline was supposed to go under one of these lakes. And I'm like, oh, hell no. So their fight is our fight. And as far as myself being a Black American, Indian fight is usually my fight anyway.
Right.
Because their fight is so close to what their plight is almost the same as ours. We were ripped from our country. Their country was ripped from there. Mm-hmm. You know, we talk about all the time how many people died, how many Jews died with Hitler and everything he did. But we never talk about how many Indians died when Columbus did his mess. When with America, we don't talk about America's dirt. We try our best to not talk about America's dirt. And our dirt is worse than anybody's
that they're trying
dirt.
to, in some schools in some states, lighten up on talking about slavery. So
they didn't pull it completely out.
Of course, they're not going to talk about America's dirt.
Black people, I tell your children what happened, so history don't repeat itself. If you don't know your history, you are doomed to repeat it, and that's the truth.
And see, that brings up the whole discussion we were having earlier, which we're not going to get into, but about the movie The Birth of a Nation. And it didn't seem like a lot of sales were reported, even though people are starting to come up with conspiracies as to there were sales. Some theaters weren't even showing the movie or were lying about them showing it. It was a lot surrounding that movie, but it ultimately boils down to a lot of people not even caring about their history.
You don't know your history, you are doomed to repeat it. It almost happened. Well, I don't want to even say almost. When Beyonce performed
the formation
at the Super Bowl, and then the police said they won't protect her anymore. Guess who stepped up to protect her?
The Black Panther Party.
No, Nation of Islam.
Oh, yeah.
And that is exactly how the Black Panther Party was born. For those who don't know, police would not do anything in black neighborhoods. They would not police the black neighborhoods. So the Black Panther Party started policing their own neighborhoods. That's how the Black Panther Party was born. But see, people don't know that because people don't know their history. And I can kind of understand that because white folks didn't want us to know that. Right. They wanted us to think that the Black Panther Party was all bad. And don't get me wrong, there's some bad to the Black Panther Party.
Just like there are some black people who do bad shit.
Right.
That doesn't speak for everybody.
It doesn't speak for everybody. And the Black Panther Party had a lot of roots in good things. They started a breakfast program for children whose families couldn't afford to feed them. So they would feed the kids, all the kids in the neighborhood for breakfast. They would feed them. They had all kind of little different programs that they did to take care of their own communities. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what we need to start doing instead of drug dealers sitting here taking their money, throwing it in walls, burning it up, dying, and all of that. You gonna do something illegal and do something stupid. Take care of your neighborhood with it. Donate it to the church in your neighborhood that you know is going to take that money and do something good with it. If you just got to do dirt and get dirty money, do something positive with it. That's what the mob used to do. You know, they fed people to the fishes, but they took care of their neighborhoods.
We're going to learn one day. I had a couple other stories, but I feel like that's a good place to stop.
Feed to the fishes.
Yes. We've talked long enough. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Keep Moving Podcast. Of course, we will be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully, JT will be here. I know you guys get tired of hearing just me and Novelty, but maybe he'll be here, maybe not. If he's not here, we'll still be back to talk to you guys because we like to do that. Any parting words?
Nope. Just have a good one.
Adios, people. Thank you.